Welcome to InFocus Town Talk. I'm Julie Thompson, and today we're talking to Melissa Arrighi, who is the town manager for the town of Plymouth. Welcome, Miss Melissa Arrighi.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Happy to have you. You do have a weekly show now on PACTV called Truth Be Told, which is you film here every Wednesday morning, which is great. Once a month, though, we like to have you back on for our segment called Town Talk. So you can go in depth on certain and specific items. One thing, and the first thing you really wanted to talk about was the town meeting. So what do you want residents to know about town meeting, which is scheduled for April 3rd?
April 3rd, 2021, we'll do it virtually again, and everybody has been really receptive after the initial struggles with a virtual town meeting. It's worked out really well. Steve Trifletti, moderator Trifletti, has done a tremendous amount of work, as well as all of you at PACTV and our own staff, to try and still make it a meaningful experience with plenty of debate. So at this upcoming town meeting, on the special town meeting warrant, there's about a little under a dozen articles. I think the ones that will get the most attention have to do, of course, with the always interested in any changes to the budget. In addition to that, we have a couple of petitioned article that I think is pretty special and has been supported here by the town, both with the staff and the select board, and that is about the elimination of the ability to sell dogs, cats, and bunnies at particular pet stores. We don't have any of those right now in Plymouth, and we would like to keep it that way. So we like that Catherine Holmes is the petitioner, and she's been somewhat very vocal and has a lot of experience on that subject matter. There's also information about a fire study looking at locations for a new fire station or fire headquarters throughout the community, and looking at all the fire stations and where they're located as compared to growth. We also have a somewhat controversial article about bridges. The water mains are on the bridges. This is about reconstruction of a bridge. So that's something that's gained a lot of attention that we want to take a look at. And on the annual town meeting, there's about 50 articles. So that one's going to take a little bit longer. And when I say 50 articles, that's because there's a lot of capital items, and those may all be taken separately.
Okay, wow, there's just so much. And I just wanted to mention too, on your town managers reports, which you put out each week, there are between 20 and 40 pages of incredible information. There is so much behind every sentence that you just said. There's so much involved in every one of those subjects. And the best way people can get educated on each of those subjects is what? Like every department has different expertise and different things they're working on. What is the best way if somebody has a specific question on, I don't understand this? Where do they go? What's the best place for them to go for that information?
So we are all reachable as staff, and I would encourage anybody, they can feel free. I'm here. I work for the residents of the community. I report directly to the select board and work here at their pleasure. They should reach out to me. My email is always available, and then I can farm it out to the right department. But residents can also feel free to talk directly to staff members, meet with them, make an appointment with them, email them directly. That's a great way to get information. I typically ask that the staff member copy me on that, because if it interests one resident, it might be something that interests many. And that's what I try and capture in my town manager's reports.
Absolutely. And you really do a wonderful job of that. And also, people can watch departmental and commission meetings. There's no reason why board and commission meetings shouldn't be watched more frequently, because there's an awful lot of the nitty-gritty is determined in those meetings, and the outcomes of those meetings are what people end up either having to live with, or that becomes the law, or that becomes what they vote on. But the point is the information is there ongoing all during the year. So we do encourage people to watch meetings. You also wanted to talk about professional recognition and grant awards. What's that all about?
Well, it's so refreshing to be able to report some great news. Plymouth is a really exciting town, but it just never rests. And often what I'm talking about is challenges and projects and ongoing events and issues happening in the town that we're resolving. But this week I was able to talk about a couple great things, which is recognition of some of the most important staff that make things happen here in town. Michelle Brady, our director for the Center for Active Living. I talk about her in the town manager's report because I'm really proud that our Center for Active Living has received a distinguished honor of accreditation from the National Council on Aging. This is really a big deal. It takes a lot of work to get accredited. You saw that our Plymouth Police Department did it about a year ago now, and it's a lot to keep up on. So great work. And I like to mention both the director, her staff, as well as the Friends Group, who are really active and helpful in our center. Also, Lee Hartman, who many of you know, the Director of Planning and Development. He has been recognized by the Old Colony Planning Council. He did not want me to bring this up at all, but it's nice to be recognized for your career and your professionalism. So I was absolutely going to do that to Lee. David Gould, he is really one of the top performers in this organization when it comes to writing and receiving grants. Now, in saying that, so many of our department and division heads are great at it, but David seems to really bring in a lot, and he's brought in another $1 million from the Seaport Economic Council, and that'll be towards our Town Wharf Bulkhead project. So we're continuing to do a lot of work down there on the waterfront, and it helps because I find Plymouth residents and town meeting members are so receptive to matching funds for us if we're able to get grants. And finally, Director Joe Young. He's not one that I talk about a lot. He stays a little behind the scenes with information technology, but he just received a cybersecurity grant, and that's something that we all need to take more and more seriously. We had a spam-like email come in the other day, and because of the training he's given us already, everybody on staff caught that and didn't open it. So I think that cybersecurity grant is something worth talking about.
That's wonderful. Excellent. Now, earmarking funds for Town Square. Can you explain what that means?
Yes. So there are some projects that you'll hear residents say, oh, they did all this work and study on it and they put it on a shelf. Doesn't happen often, but sometimes there's a reason for that. And in this case, it's a $2 million project for Town Square. We wanted to redo it. Community preservation weighed in. We had neighbors weigh in. There was a lot of outreach by Public Works. We would love to do this project, but to spend $2 million on it right now isn't feasible. So we don't have it on town meeting. However, representatives often will call us if they think there's any funding that could be available. No promises for projects that have components such as, economic development or job creation, historical or preservation. I mean, if they hit a lot of the target areas, they're ones that could be considered. So I spoke to Representative Zaros the other day and told him about this $2 million project. He was intrigued, which is a good sign. And now after the show, I will quickly be reaching out to Senator Moran, Representative Muratori, and Representative Kathy Lenatra to see if they are as supportive of it. And if so, if all of them together put that in for the town of Plymouth, that could potentially be a project we would get $2 million in funding for, or a portion of it, and we could match the rest.
Oh, terrific. That's exciting. White Horse Beach parking. That's been a big topic over the last few months. Can you give us an update on that?
Right. And the residents group that got together for the White Horse Beach parking proposal did a tremendous amount of work. And now it falls in the select board have supported it to try it this year to have this requirement that you do have to have a sticker to park down there or a guest pass. Now it falls into our lap to actually make it happen. And one of the things that we need to do is get publicity out there. Some of our White Horse Beach residents are only here in the summer and they don't know about this yet. So although many of our year-round folks who live down there are aware of this, they will know to come buy a sticker, they will know to get their guest passes, they will know where to park, where they won't be ticketed. Maybe our part-time residents don't know that yet. So Don Smith, who is the chairman of the group, he has sent us a list of things he'd love to have us do, such as putting the electronic signboards down there to notify everybody, to put some kind of ad in the Old Colony Memorial, to do publicity here on PACTV. So we really need to gear that up because this is going to be a big change for the people in that area and visitors to that area. So we want to get as much word out as we can. And we need to really start that process now because I'm so happy to say spring is literally right around the corner and I can't wait for it to get here.
You and the rest of the world. And what about outreach to the public? Let's talk about that.
Julie, honestly, I am always trying to find new ways. Matt Muratori, when he was chairman of the select board, used to really encourage me to get a little outside of my comfort zone. And if I was at a social event, walk up to the table where I don't know anybody and introduce myself. It's not an easy thing for me to do. And of course, trying to meet new residents is even harder right now. Some days I will go work when town hall is open to the public. I would go work for a couple hours in the glass lobby and talk to residents as they come in. I've tried, I tweet, I do the town's Facebook page. We try and keep up on the town's website. I do now the show with you on PACTV. I talk to people all the time. I meet a group of older men. I used to meet them at Dunkin' Donuts just once a month or so, and they'd have a little list of issues for me practically on a napkin that they'd write down for when I came in. Those are the people I'm trying to reach, that resident who isn't on a board or committee or isn't a town meeting representative. Not that, of course, I don't want to meet with them and fill them in. I'm just saying I'd love for the rest of the public, we have such a large community here, to know what is going on with their government. And I don't know how to get to them. Julie, I've even had conversations with my own friends that don't live here in town and say, who's your city manager? Who's your town manager? If you want to know something going on in town, how do you find out? And even them, it's all over the place. You can't walk door to door and meet people, and you can't send letters to their homes anymore. So I'm just trying every avenue I can think of and looking for any suggestions from the public of how I reach their neighbor. Right. And one of the things the other day was I tweeted, if you have a private social media site that is popular and that occasionally talks about the government, reach out to me. I would somehow love to find a way to link up with you. So if your private social media site mentions town hall or mentions the Plymouth Police Department or mentions an issue going on with parking or with the cemetery, we would somehow be able, you as the administrator of your site would somehow be able to link to our site, the town's official site, and we can get that information or share that information. Just exploring ideas, and I can use any help that you or anybody else.
Yeah, and what's funny, Melissa, is there's so many different populations of people or groups or interests that find their information in different places. Seniors often will count on the PCAL, and like you said, Michelle Brady and her staff does a tremendous job with informing those residents. There's some people who don't care about cable TV, never watch it. There's some people that only live on social media. It's a constant. It's difficult for all of us to be able to reach everybody, but I applaud your efforts in trying to get to those different varied groups of people to say, how can I best talk to you? How can I listen to you? And how can we exchange information? So anything we can do, obviously, will help you do, but I think you're on the right track of trying to get as many people involved to know the message that, yes, you want to hear it. You want to talk. You want to get to know people. And that's wonderful. Can we just touch on the vaccine as the final thing today? Because every other town that we've talked to has the huge problem of getting the doses of vaccine. That's the problem. It's not that you don't want to have a big site. It's not that you don't want to do it. It's not that you're not prepared to do it. It's that you don't have the vaccine to put into people's arms. Can you just address that for where we stand right now here on the 5th of March, how that stands with the town of Plymouth?
We're in the same position, but we have had some success. So it hasn't been success that has been widely distributed. And I'll tell you the fronts that we're working on. We have successfully had the second dose for all our public safety officers. We have done the second dose for our Meals on Wheels. We have been able to finish up, as of yesterday, all the Plymouth Housing Authority second doses. We have worked closely with our public health department and some in our neighboring town of Kingston to fill slots that the Kingston Spa, who is an approved state site, had available. As they would have those slots available, we would reach out to a list that we had in our senior center and fill those slots. It doesn't always happen, which is why we couldn't widely advertise it, but we were able to get quite a few people done that way, a couple hundred. In addition, we are continuing to work to see, we have 2 partners that we're quietly working with to see if there's any way that we could hold a site here at Memorial Hall, but we will only delve strongly into that, or we're serious about it, but we will only really promote that if we do indeed know that we can get the vaccines. So We're continuing work to get people vaccinated. The Veterans Clinic that was held at the American Legion was really successful. Over 400 people were vaccinated. So we're moving in the right direction. I think that there's frustration among so many of the town managers because we would love to control a little bit of our own destiny with our own residents. But I understand where the state is coming from and that they're really promoting these mass sites. So we have pushed as the town management team, Mass Municipal Association, to see if the 1-dose shots, if we could have those locally. It wouldn't interfere with the vaccinations that are coming out at the state level, but if we could do that, receive the 1-dose here locally, there's 2 areas that we would like to target. One is our homebound population with a 1 shot. We would partner with Brewster Ambulance and our Plymouth firefighters to do that. And then the second one would be going after all our school teachers and the people that work within our K-12 school system with the 1-shot dose. And that's what we're still working on.
Great. So there's an awful lot that goes on behind the scenes that people don't really, they're not privy to because things change on a daily basis. So we appreciate you giving us the most up-to-date information, Melissa Arrighi. We thank you for being with us today on Town Talk. This is Julie Thompson. Have a good day.